Hey guys, what's up? Today we are getting into some real stuff. We're talking about online dating. I'm not going to hold back. I'm just going to say it like it is. You get offended, then maybe just click on out. I actually met my wife on Match. So I have had some experience in online dating myself. So quick background when I was on there. I was on Match.com. This was 4.5 years ago. So now I know there's a ton of different websites right now. So when I did Match, it was because it was the biggest and it was basically the most general and broad. This isn't going to necessarily be in any specific order. I just wrote down stuff, so I'm just going to start it off here. So first and foremost thing is be honest, okay? It's not going to do you or the other person any good if you're totally dishonest on your profile. Because if you're dishonest about something, it might not happen in a day, it might not happen in a week, it might not happen in a month, but whatever your bullshit is and whatever you're lying about, it will end up coming out. So if you lie about how you look or your age or whatever else, well, why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting the other person's time? Okay? That's like, it is fucking pointless to be lying about a bunch of stuff on there, okay? Take a good look at who you are, be fucking real with yourself, and just put it down there. Or just leave it blank or whatever if you don't want to like go into specifics or something with you. But being straight out dishonest and not being truthful with yourself is a fucking waste of people's time. Don't waste people's time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste somebody else's time. Now, online dating, I sort of feel it's a little bit like online shopping. You kind of know what you're looking for. So if you're a little bit older and you specifically know what you are looking for or what kind of a person that you work well with or work best with or interact with, then that's great because you can sort of start to dial it in a little bit and kind of look for different things that you know you're compatible with, or that you know that you mesh well, or the opposite is you will stay away from people or personalities or whatever of somebody who you don't get along with necessarily. Remember that everybody is different. As a general rule, I wouldn't just group every single person into something. So the good thing about it is, like I said, you're able to kind of detail it down and sort of narrow it down to people that you know that you kind of like. However, if you're really young or you're a much younger person and you haven't been out there, you haven't dated that many people and you haven't had that much experience with people, then you can open it up and you can kind of expand your what you're looking for a little bit, so you can kind of start to know who you like, because maybe you don't know what and who you like in a person, and then in which case you kind of open up that whole area there and kind of date and learn about different people and their ideas and stuff like that, and then maybe you find out that way what works better for you. So with that said, don't detail it too narrow and eliminate possibilities that you might have. So if you say, well, I'm really only looking for a chick that's 22 or 23, don't make it that small. If 22 and 23 is your ideal age that you're looking for, expand that out a little bit, okay? Maybe go to 19 to 26, 19 to 27 or something like that. Don't make it such a small window that you're going to eliminate a lot of really, really good potential possibilities. Now let's get into the age thing. I'm 38 years old. I just got married just before I turned 38, so I got married at 37. Personally, I don't think that I look 38, and I probably really don't think that I act 38. Does that mean that a 21-year-old girl is ideal for me to be dating right now if I was single? Probably not. But everybody is in a different mindset. So the age thing can be kind of a big deal, and on the other flip side, it cannot always be a huge deal. So my wife and I were 8 years apart, and for us that's totally fine. So the older that you get, the less of a big deal that the age thing is. So for an example, an 18-year-old with a 28-year-old is a much bigger difference than somebody who would be, say, 60 years old and 70 years old. So just keep that in mind, but everybody ages and goes through different things at different times. So a 25-year-old can be very young and immature, but a 25-year-old can also be pretty mature and have gone through and seen and been through a lot in their life. So don't just automatically say, oh, this person is way too old or this person is way too young. So if there is a big age, make sure you guys are fairly in the same window of what you're looking and when you're looking for certain things in life, whether it might be marriage or kids or something like that. So if a 31-year-old and a 21-year-old together, and the 31-year-old is like, I want to get married and have kids real soon, and the 21-year-old is on the same mindset, that's cool. If the 21-year-old is thinking, I just started going to the bars, I'm still having fun, I don't want to have kids for another like 8 or 9 years, that's not really like in the same category and meshing well with what the older person wants. So just keep that in mind when you start to expand out the age as far as when people want certain things in their life. All right, this one I cannot stress enough. Only do quick, simple, easy meetups, especially on the very, very first time that you're meeting up with somebody. I went on a bunch of different dates, and I did anything from a quick little coffee all the way to a full-blown, really nice dinner. And let me tell you this, I know it sounds kind of like nice for some of the girls and some of the women of thinking, well, that's kind of really cool, like I don't want to just go out to that, I want to like go out and have a nice dinner and stuff. No, don't do that. And it's not just a matter of trying to be taken out by a guy and having a nice dinner and stuff like that. Because if the guy is not the right fit for you, you don't want to be stuck spending an hour and a half or 2 hours doing a whole dinner and movie frickin' date, or spending 3 or 4 hours with this person. It's not worth the nice free meal that you went and got. Like, if you're just thinking, well, I just want to go out and have a nice like meal or night out or something, then get the fuck off the dating website, because you're not looking for somebody to like have like a relationship with, or like have, you know, that good time or whatever. You're just looking for like a free meal and like looking for somebody to pay for some shit. And the reason I'm saying this is because it benefits both people to just do something quick and easy. Okay? Because if you go meet up with somebody and you go for a coffee or a tea or something and you meet somewhere like that, it's very easy to say, hey, you know what, this isn't really the right fit, and after 30 minutes or something, you guys can break off and go split off, okay? One, it didn't waste your whole night. Two, you know, for the guy or whoever's, you know, spending the money, you're not blowing $100 or whatever, you know, for the night or something like that. Because let's face it, if you go on 2 or 3, 4 dates, how much you want to spend each week going on dates with random people? $300-400 a week? No, you know, people don't want to do that. And not only that, you don't want to be stuck with somebody if you're not into it or if you're not with them. So keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. If you do like the person and you are out at coffee, well then you can go have dinner, or you can go to a movie and you can extend it out. So with that said, the next part of that is meet in a safe, busy place, obviously, and make sure that you feel comfortable there and you know kind of where you're at or the area or whatever. And meet within a couple of weeks. You want to establish some sort of comfort with the person and a little bit of a relationship where you kind of know a little bit about them and you feel a little bit comfortable for when you do meet up, but you don't want to extend out this communication for weeks and weeks or a month or over a month, because what happens, you start to get a little bit more involved, a little bit more emotionally involved, and if you start texting every day or whatever and you guys are busy so you can't meet up, well, what happens, when you meet the person and you see them and you instantly say, nope, this isn't it. Well, now you just sort of emotionally invested all this time, you spent this time texting and stuff, and there's some sort of like communication kind of relationship that you guys were sort of having, and now it's just kind of like gone. So now you just wasted 2, 3, 4 weeks of texting and emailing and flirting, and it's kind of cute and all that stuff for nothing. So for the instant that you met up and you said, oh, nope, this is not going to work. So meet up sooner than later. With that said, I'm not saying meet somebody within 3 days. I'm just saying keep it like simple, just enough to get to know the person, so then when you meet up with them and you say this isn't it, you can break it off easy. It's not weird. It's not like you've been emotionally invested at all. Okay, next thing, be realistic with yourself and be realistic with somebody else. Nobody is going to be 110% perfectly suited for you. Nobody's perfect, period. So don't expect that with somebody else, but also be realistic. If you know that something is a major, major, major thing in your life and has been for years and will always be, things that come to mind, I don't know, religion, politics or something. If you say, I am a hardcore major like Christian or whatever, let's say, and I go to church 3 times a week, and I go to church every single Sunday, and I read the Bible every day, and that is your core belief, and somebody else is not really into that, or they're not as much into it, then take note of that for yourself and know that that is a major part of who you are, and that you can't just like meet anybody or meet somebody who's not into that at all and expect that things are going to change and work out. So just be realistic with things that you have in your mindset. I'm not saying that people can't, adjust and people don't change and kind of, grow together and things like that, but just right out of the gate, just don't be completely unrealistic with, ideas that you have. Next thing, when you're sending out a message to somebody, okay, and you're trying to make contact with them, you need to make it a little bit personalized, but don't spend too much time and effort on making this long, detailed message to the person. Why? Because in general, I'll just say like, the stereotype kind of thing right now is the guy makes contact with a girl. That's usually kind of like old school or whatever, or the general rule of thumb of what happens, and it doesn't always happen, but the guy is contacting the girl. Well, the guy is going to contact girl after girl after girl after girl after girl after girl after girl. So you have to remember, you can't, for the women, you can't just expect to be like, it's kind of a generic sort of like a greeting and doesn't really sound like it's like specifically for me. Well, that's what I'm saying. A guy needs to personalize it a little bit, but the guy can't sit there and spend a ton of time personalizing and making every little thing super detailed for each single person, because it's like a numbers game. You need to get out there and make contact with people, and you need to kind of like get out there and date some people. So if a guy's contacting, 10 different girls like a day or something, he may get one response back out of the 10 or something, and then out of that one response, who knows if that will even lead to like a date or something. So if a guy's spending, all this time writing 10 girls each day and making all this personalized stuff, well, that's his full-time job. So understand that everybody's special and everyone's, on there and stuff, but it's just trying to get that contact to try to see like, hey, is there possibly something here or no? Like, because people don't want to waste their time. You need to kind of figure it out sooner than later. You want to make sure that you can't make contact. You want to make sure that you kind of like expedite the whole process. Next thing, this one probably sounds like it would make sense, but you know what? A lot of people don't do it. Guess what? Use a recent picture or use recent pictures. Nobody gives a shit about what you look like 10 years ago when you were in shape. People want to know what you look like today, right now. This is me. This video was filmed within a few days ago. And that goes back into the very first thing that I said, is being honest. Being honest with the other person and being honest with yourself. How do you actually look today? Okay? Put that out there. You're going to put the best pictures, obviously, of you, but put recent pictures. Here's another side of online dating compared to just like meeting people out. The online thing I think is awesome because you already know stuff. It's not like you're going to spend this time going and talking to this girl who you find out is way too young and has a boyfriend and lives, an hour and a half away from you or something like that, for example. So the other thing with that is we all know that you can fall in love with different people. Different people meaning you can fall in love with a lot of the wrong people in your life, or fall in love with people who are not right or compatible for you. We've all done it. It's happened to all of us. So the good thing that I think about online dating is that if people are honest on there, going back to being honest on there, is you can see their profile, and by the things that they're into or what they like or who they are, you can kind of like and start to like and sort of fall in love with that profile. And then you say, okay, this person is okay for me to fall in love with if I meet them and there's a chemistry, because I know all these other things line up. Their religion or their political beliefs or their sports activities or their workout habits or whatever the lifestyle is. You say, hey, this is all perfect. This is cool. So if I like them and when we meet up, all these other things are in line. Rather than if you meet somebody out and about, you say, damn, that chick is fucking hot as shit. I like her because she's freaking hot. And then you go over and you talk to her and you're like, damn, you're so hot. And you like them already because they're hot. And then as you start to move along, and if you start dating or whatever, it's just based on that hot thing, and you're like, damn, we don't have this in common, we don't have this in common, this is kind of a problem, this kind of a problem, this kind of a problem, but I'm already started falling in love with you. So now you kind of like don't have all these other things lined up that should be in line in addition to looks. So it's very helpful and really cool is if you like their profile and their profile works for you, and then if and when you meet up with them and you have that chemistry, then it's okay and you're like, cool man, like you're hot and all these other things like work. Okay, now on to the income thing. I never really liked the income thing on there. When I was on there, had a job and made okay money, but it wasn't a lot of money and it wasn't a little money. I, paid my bills and all that stuff, and owned a house and stuff like that. But the income thing I think is tricky for people, because if you are genuinely trying to match up people with like a higher income kind of thing, I get that. If you say, well, I'm making $150,000 a year and I would like someone to be making around $150,000 a year, that part makes sense. But you don't necessarily always know, and my concern was always that if somebody did put, they make however much money, like 150,000 plus or 100,000 plus or 200,000 or whatever it was, for a girl, or looking at it from like a girl's perspective, would they just be going for the guy just because of the number, saying, oh well, he says that he makes over $100,000 or 150,000 or 200,000. So to me, that concern, I would never ever want anybody like scrolling through the whole thing and just looking for the income and go, ooh, this one looks good, I'm gonna contact him, or I will accept a contact from him. So that part I really don't like. So the income thing, you're kind of on your own on that one. I don't really have any recommendation for that. I just personally, it kind of worries me and kind of concerns me, just because I don't know if people are looking for the wrong reason or the wrong thing. Just tread cautiously around that one, and hopefully people aren't just looking at the income number, because that's a horrible, terrible way to just like really base a relationship on, which would be income, and trying to find some guy with like a bunch of money or some chick with a whole bunch of money. I'm sure that I'm probably forgetting a couple of things, but those were like some of the main things that kind of came to mind, and kind of like stuff that I was thinking of. So just be smart, be safe, and definitely have fun on it. And it takes like a while. I mean, you might go on like a whole bunch of dates, and that's like why I said keep it simple. Do some like the stuff that what I was saying, so you don't waste a bunch of time and waste a bunch of money, and like just get out there and like have fun, like date people and stuff. And you probably need to date a bunch of people to like find what you're looking for. But each time you go on a date, hopefully you start to like learn a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about what you think will kind of like work, because you can always fall in love with people, but they cannot be right for you, and they opposites attract and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that that doesn't work long term, but in general, like it's best to kind of like know like what you kind of work with. And that's the fun thing about getting out there dating, is finding what works and what doesn't work, and kind of like what suits you, because we're all different people and there's always somebody out there for you. So anyways, hope this was helpful. Hope you guys enjoyed my video, and I will be here tomorrow. Will you?